Have you ever done a protocol that made your symptoms worse? Recently, on an Instagram Live, I was asked a question about why a woman's constipation got worse when she did a constipation protocol. This, unfortunately, is a common problem, not just for constipation clients, but also if you have bloating, acid reflux, PMS, eczema, fatigue, and almost any symptom that I've ever seen. I've had clients say, I did this thing that was directly supposed to help it, and it got worse. Why does this happen? What was likely going on in this client's specific constipation response? And how can you not only avoid this problem, but find a protocol that will actually work for you? I'm answering all this and more on today's episode. Let's dive in. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormone, skin, sleep, and brain concerns. Literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, guys. So framework for how today's episode is going to work. I'm going to first talk about generally how to think about, like if you're thinking about I had a bad reaction to a protocol, like my symptoms got worse, there's typically two reasons why, one of two reasons. We're going to make it super simple. I'm going to talk about what those two options are, and I'm going to walk you through how I evaluated which of these two problems was likely the case for this client for constipation. And I am going to dive a little bit into constipation specific, I don't know if I would say flaws or myths that are why she got the result she got. But I'm going to dive into that a little bit, but just safe to say there is that problem for like all of the symptoms that we deal with: bloating, or acid reflux, PMS, eczema, brain fog, fatigue. There's often the status quo, like things to do that may or may not actually help you. And I'm not going to dive into everything, but because your question was on constipation, I am going to dive into that. Plus, I'm going to show you how I got to that point of thinking about that for her case. Okay? So if you're dealing with a situation where you feel worse after, like you have a symptom, especially with the same symptom you're trying to fix gets worse in your protocol, there's two options. Number one, the protocol was right, like it was a good protocol, and it was just that she was reacting intensely to it. Like somehow she needs that protocol and she needs to push through it. That can happen usually if there's a detox reaction. More on that in a sec. The second option is if the protocol was wrong, like it was just the wrong thing she needed, and she was going to get that reaction no matter what. She had a normal expected reaction to those things. She just was given bad advice. And so all I had to do, like I didn't know which one of these two things it was until I started asking her questions. So she initially, when she gave me the information, said a constipation protocol. And I said, okay, what was in the protocol? Because if you are a practitioner worth your salt, if you actually are working with someone who knows what they're doing, they should know the flaws of the typical advice for acid reflux, the typical like acid reflux diet. Like, yes, it's going to lower how much acidity you're introducing to the stomach. And it's, I don't know, preventative, but it's not healing. It's also a hard way to live. So acid reflux diet is a typical way to support acid reflux that doesn't actually heal you. And it doesn't get to the root cause. All right. But when she listed her constipation stuff, it was like, the really basic stuff. She took some fiber. She was drinking some water. She had some probiotics. And I have a whole bunch of episodes that cover these common problems. I'm going to put them in the links, like why probiotics haven't healed your gut, why the elimination diet hasn't healed your gut, why the low FODMAP diet hasn't healed your gut, why the constipation magnesium myth, like why didn't magnesium work? And interestingly enough, there's, especially for like fiber and probiotics, you can make your bloating and constipation significantly worse because of other factors going on in the gut in constipation. If you do not have chronic constipation, a little bit of fiber is going to do you a lot of good. If you do have chronic constipation, it has nothing to do with how much fiber you're eating. It has to do with other pathogens in the gut. You hands down have other pathogens. It could be H. pylori. Usually it's not just H. pylori. H. pylori is going to cause low stomach acid. That's going to set you up for constipation. Magnesium doesn't fix low stomach acid. Fiber doesn't fix H. pylori. And so if you're putting things into your body that are bulking, that probiotics are like adding civilians to a war zone, you are going to have problems. It actually will hurt more. It will be worse. So she took very basic advice, and I was somewhat relieved that she hadn't paid anyone for it. I'm like, oh man, I just hate it when I hear someone said, I worked with a nutritionist and this is, what they told me to do. I worked with the doctor. I paid a functional medicine practitioner. It breaks my heart when that happens because it was bad advice that you could get from the internet. So at least I was like, where'd you get this from? She's like, I just found it online. I was like, okay, yeah, that's why it didn't work. With constipation, you need to look at a bigger thing. So I'm able to, because of all the things that I share in this podcast, say the protocol was wrong and her reaction was normal. The other thing is the protocol was right and her reaction is bad. But other questions that I asked. So you want to know, what did you actually do? Are those the right steps? And you might need a health practitioner who is trained to know, yeah, that was the wrong thing to do. That not out of your bad intention, like you were not trying to do something bad, just out of being misguided, and the fact that there is a plethora of stuff online that just there isn't smarter stuff out there that is easily available online, because it's not what shows up on the first page of Google. It's actually possibly even there. Like this podcast, we talk about all the myths around healing constipation and acid reflux and bloating and PMS. And it is here, but it might have taken you a while to find it. So it's not showing up on the front page of Google, that's for sure. Other questions that I would be asking if she had worked with a practitioner would be, what labs guided them to the protocol she was doing? What labs had she actually done? Was it just blood work? Had she done any functional lab testing, like a Dutch test for hormones, a GI map for stool test, HTMA, a food sensitivity test? I prefer the Zoomer by Vibrant Wellness, and the organic acids test. And even if they say they did one of those, two of those, three of those, I then want to know, what are the symptoms she's dealing with? Is there a lab that they didn't do that they needed to do based off of her symptomology that she should have done more labs to get more information? Because if you're missing a piece of information, it'd be like saying, well, my car didn't run even though I turned on the car. Okay, did the car turn on? Yes, the battery was charged. Okay. The car was in drive. Okay, good. And then I put my foot on the gas and I pressed, but it didn't go. Okay. If that is what happened, then you want to ask, what other factors could make a car not go, given those three things that are true? So you want to check off a list of, have I gotten everything going? If you don't, it's not a green light. You could have 3 out of the 4 problems fixed for constipation or acid reflux or bloating. And if you don't have all 4, you're not going to get either any response, or it'll be a very moderate, mild response, or it might even make you feel like you're worse because you're putting a lot of pressure for that car to go without getting any motion. And in constipation, that definitely hurts. When you're trying to push stuff out of your body and it wants to go now because you've given it a buttload of magnesium or a laxative or a probiotic, but it can't go. Now, in her case, she had no labs that guided her to do this, but the labs matter. And did she miss any? And then what was the findings on the labs that they addressed? Usually I have to look at someone's labs themselves to know, was a marker completely ignored? Unfortunately, this is common, and I have a variety. I think every marker is different. Why a doctor didn't talk to somebody about it. I literally this week talked with a woman whose kids are having, 3 of her 4 kids are having significant health problems, eczema, bloating, constipation, and that like literally only X-Lax is helping them with. And when I looked at a lab that one daughter and one son had, the organic acids test, there was very significant mold on them. And I said, did your doctor talk to you about this? She's like, well, she mentioned it, but she gave me these 3 things. I'm like, well, this is a very bad mold protocol, like very bad. She basically almost seems like she ignored the fact that you have it. I don't actually know what she's trying to treat with those things. And so that's a very specific knowledge problem, which I don't expect maybe you, the listener, to have. And it varies so much every person, every single lab. And because of this is why I offer unstuck sessions. These are one-to-one calls where I am diving in with you line by line, every lab you have, every symptom you've had, every marker on those labs to say, what are you missing a lab? Did someone ignore a marker? Was the protocol just bad? Like maybe your doctor saw the same marker as me, but the recommendation is falling short of what I've seen work. And like mastic gum is not a fix for H. pylori. I'm sorry, it's not. There's so many clients that I know, they're like, I'm on mastic gum for H. pylori. It's going to come back. Even if it's like, what are the common things I see for H. pylori, which is related to acid reflux. It's related to constipation. Mastic gum, sometimes it'll be like 2 or 3 other things, marshmallow root. Those are soothing to the gut. Aloe vera, they don't get rid of H. pylori. And there's like somehow it's proliferating that kills H. pylori and it doesn't. Sometimes they'll be lucky and they're on biocidin, but that's also not enough to kill H. pylori. So if you're kind of looking for that very specific medicine tailored to you, and you're not wanting to like jump into a full protocol, you just want somebody to go and sift through your entire health history. This is what my brain is very good at. It's like putting a puzzle together, and it's like a race to put a puzzle together. So you're not having to work with someone for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then they're like, oh, this is what's going on. You get it in one session. Recommendations on what labs were missed, what markers were missed, what protocols were missed, what protocols were made wrong. So thus far for her, in my mind, I've asked, what did she do? What were the actual steps in the protocol? Oh, that was wrong. What labs guided her to do that? She didn't have any labs. What labs might be missing based on her symptoms? We didn't talk a lot about her other symptoms she's dealing with. It was Instagram Live, but if I was having an unstuck session with her, I would talk through, okay, what other than constipation are you dealing with? How long have you been dealing with those problems? Is it 6 months, 6 years, 16 years? Your whole life? Is there PMS? Is there amenorrhea? What else is going on? We want to know those things, and that will guide us into what tests you need to do and what information to look for. And then we can talk about what do you do instead of what, didn't work, what actually made it worse. And that's what you want to do. You want to do an exchange. You want to replace what didn't work, not like do what didn't work better or do 10 more times of it, or just do it at half measure, like completely scrap it and then get what will work. It is sad that I have had clients, I'm thinking of 2 cases. So I had one client email me from Europe and say, I know I have H. pylori. I'm on this H. pylori protocol. I'm like a week into it. It's not doing a lot. I think it was 6 or 8 weeks. It was kind of a longer protocol. And it included mastic gum, guys. I do not like mastic gum. I actually have it in my protocol, but it's a very, 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 very small portion of it. And there's a lot of other bigger, heavier hitters than mastic gum. Anyways, he literally writes out the protocol and says, do you think I should keep doing this, or should I just join the Butterbelly Blueprint? And I was like, I don't expect this protocol to do anything for you. I've seen protocols like this fail before. And so I don't want to like be down on your practitioner. I wouldn't keep doing it. And he joined the Butterbelly Blueprint. And we're not only looking at his H. pylori, we're looking at other things that practitioner didn't even look at, because we want every box checked off to alleviate his problems. Again, the same conversation, going back to the conversation I had with someone this week, the woman with 3 out of her 4 children are having health problems. We want to know, what are all the symptoms someone's dealing with? And so we talked about in depth what's going on. And when she showed me the protocol that she was doing, it was like, this is a bad protocol. And here's what I'm going to recommend instead. This is what a better mold protocol is going to look like. And it's multiple steps. And we're going to talk through every one of those steps. So, and that was an unstuck session because she's like, I don't know what to do with my children. Are we headed in the right direction? What's going on? So unstuck sessions are one-off calls with me, one-to-one, going through your health history and just being like, what's missing? What have you been missing? And if you go from the unstuck session and you want to work with me one-to-one for me to create your protocols for you, I will order the labs I recommend on that call. We'll have you join the Better Belly VIP and we can work one-to-one. If you want to do it in a group, do it yourself in a group coaching call setting, group coaching support with a program where you're watching videos to figure out how to analyze your labs and how to put your protocols together based off of protocol templates, then you can join the Better Belly Blueprint program and get lifetime coaching and support from me and my team. So you don't have to be alone anymore. There are options. You don't have to be stuck. And if you are having problems where you've had your symptoms get worse, doing a protocol or even not get better, this process works. Was the protocol right? And my reaction was very simple and I was eventually going to get better if I just kept doing the same thing? Or was the protocol simply wrong? Was something missing in the protocol because of missing data from missing labs or because it was the right data from the lab, but a poorly put together protocol? That is how you think about it. If you want to go get an unstuck session, go to betterbellytherapies.com/unstuck. And if you want to look into becoming a VIP client or joining the Better Belly Blueprint, go to betterbellytherapies.com/training. It'll have a short video to walk you through exactly what the Better Belly Blueprint's like, why our clients are getting results, share testimonials of what our clients have achieved. And if you don't have time for the video, just scroll down below the video and it'll have a written summary of what's in that video. You can join and start getting healing today. So go to betterbellytherapies.com/training or click the link in the show notes to get access to the Better Belly Blueprint, Better Belly VIP, and go to betterbellytherapies.com/unstuck to book a one-to-one call with me today and get answers to those questions on why you haven't gotten better. Catch you guys next week. Hey friend, I hope you loved this episode. If you've been a fan for a while or newly loving this podcast, can you do me a favor? Drop into Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. When you leave a review, you do so much. You help me know you're listening, you can tell me what you're loving so I know what to make more of, and you help others by boosting this podcast so other people like you can find the podcast too. I mean, it's a win-win-win, right? So if you want a way to pay it forward, just go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in my show notes and leave a rating and review. And if you want some more free stuff, just head over to my free Facebook group, betterbellytherapies.com/Facebook, and you can get access to all of my free support for you, including some Facebook group exclusive stuff like my podcast episode vault, where you can search the Better Belly podcast by topic and find exactly what you need to expedite your healing. I cannot wait to see you in there. Catch you guys next week.